2026 has seen the release of some really impressive new drivers, but never before has this category been more confusing with so many different options on offer. So in this video, I'm going to try and clear things up a bit for you. I'm going to try and split this into categories of low spin, most forgiving, anti-slice drivers, and the best all-rounders to be able to make some really clear recommendations for your game. So without further ado, let's get stuck into the low spin models. I'm going to keep you in suspense just a little bit longer. Before we get to those low spin drivers, I just want to talk to you a bit about how we test our drivers here. So at Golf Monthly, we pride ourselves on the credibility of our data, and we've really upped our game in the last 12 months. We started a partnership with Foresight Sports for the most accurate launch monitor data possible, and we created the Performance Lab, and that's allowed us to bring in some state-of-the-art workshop equipment to help us get these drivers set up exactly the same. We've got digital swing weight machines, I've got loft and lie machines and face angle machines for driver, length rulers, so we can really spec these drivers out to the finest details. Now, in terms of how I set my driver up, I always go for 45.5 inches and as close to 9 degrees as possible, which the driver loft and lie machine allows me to get that set up really precisely. I always use a Fujikura Venta 6X Black, and to make sure we can use that within each of the driver heads, we use the all-fit system. So I'm not only using the same model of shaft, I'm actually using the same shaft generally throughout my testing wherever that permits. The creation of the Performance Lab has allowed us to create an environment where we can get some really credible, accurate indoor data to get into the fine details of what that driver offers. But we don't stop there. We like to test outdoors in real life situations so we can offer you the most rounded opinions in the game. Now, before I make my recommendations in the low spin category, let's just have a little rundown of what's actually available to you. So let's start with the TaylorMade QI4D LS. Now, with its sleek new aerodynamics to help you shift it a bit quicker, if you're looking for flat, hot bombs and just raw speed, then this is a brilliant place to start. Next up, the Callaway Quantum Triple Diamond. So if you're looking for low spin but you fight a left shot, then the Quantum Triple Diamond is just about as fade biased as it comes in this category. The Ping G440 LST. Now, those looking for a bit of extra stability and insurance with their low spin, or players whose miss tends to be either low or on the heel side of the club, should really probably start looking here. Next up, the Cobra Optum LS. So if you're looking to save a bit of money but still get somewhere near the best performers, then the Optum LS is a really good all-rounder option in this category. The Titleist GT3. If classic sophisticated looks at your thing, then the GT3 from Titleist is definitely the standout option in the low spin category. Now, a real newcomer in the Mizuno JPX1 Select. To my eye, this is one of, if not the best looking newcomer on the low spin scene. Coupled with some never before seen tech on the club face, the JPX1 Select is really an intriguing option. Right, it's been around for a while, but the Srixon ZXi LS is still one of the most underrated drivers on the market. The LS offers a very impressive all-round package of sophisticated looks, solid feel, and very dependable numbers. Along with the Callaway Quantum Triple Diamond, the Dynapower LS is another really low spinner that specialises in taking that left side of the golf course out of play. Seriously fade bias and surprisingly quick. PXG Lightning Tour. If you're looking for a modern visual and just about as low a spin rate as possible, the Lightning Tour could really be the one for you. Tour Edge Exotics LS. If you're looking for a strong all-round performance that might not be in the bag of all your pals, then the Exotics LS from Tour Edge delivers some really good numbers at a very good price point. So that's a bit of an overview of what's out there available to purchase. If you want to compare my data from all of my testing on these, I'm going to put that up on the screen now, so feel free to pause the video and have a good look at that. So there was a lot of data to get stuck into there, but I've managed to sort of bring it down to my two favourites within this low spin category, and they are the Titleist GT3 and the TaylorMade QI4D LS. If I start with the Titleist GT3 for a moment, now this was an interesting one from Titleist. It was kind of their first departure away from all titanium driver heads. They brought in an entirely new material called their proprietary matrix polymer. Now, in a very Titleist way, they didn't show that off. They actually put that on the head, so it was a multi-material crown, but they smoothed over the gaps to create that kind of classic Titleist clean finish. It's also got some really classic shaping. It's a little bit more pear-shaped than some within the low spin category, and that's done incredibly well on tour. It's caught a lot of professionals' eyes, both on the staff for Titleist, but also non-contracted players, which is a very big thing and always a good indication of a very good driver. Now there's some, I would argue, that are a little bit quicker. There's some that may be a little bit more forgiving, but there's very few that offer the cumulative package that Titleist GT3 does. Now my next favourite, as I said, is the QI4D LS from TaylorMade. Now I've picked this just quite simply, it is an absolute speed machine. Everything that's gone into this design is all about helping you move the club head quicker to in turn help you move the ball quicker. They've completely redesigned the sole. They've actually taken a full segment out to make it more aerodynamic. And as I said, this is the driver I move faster than anything else from all of my winter testing. In terms of its looks, it's a bit of a departure from QI35 last year. It's much, much darker. A few people didn't love the light grey crown on the QI35 LS. I was a fan of it, but this new darker crown seems to resonate with a lot more people from what I'm hearing. We've also got front and back weights, which allow you to dial in your ball flight even more, which is great when you're looking to really fine tune those specifications. Right, so next up, let's take a look at the most forgiving drivers on the market. Now, forgiveness is something we are all searching for, whether that's left to right dispersion forgiveness or even that front to back dispersion. Retaining ball speeds on those miss hits is absolutely key to a high quality driver. So let's see what's available out there on the market. Starting with the TaylorMade QI4D Max. Now, this is another premium looking release from TaylorMade. The QI4D Max's outstanding qualities are superb feel and really, really consistent spin numbers. Ping G440K, this replaced one of my favourite drivers of all time in the G430 Max 10K, and if you're a high speed player looking to take advantage of the world of high MOI stability, then the G440K has the ability to cope with that without producing excess spin. The Cobra Optum Max K. While the Max K wasn't necessarily a standout in terms of ball speed for me, it is arguably the straightest driver I've tested since I joined Golf Monthly. If you want to find a few more fairways and you need a little bit more spin, then this is a brilliant place to start. The PXG Lightning Max 10K Plus. PXG has brought a great blend of speed and forgiveness to the table with its Max 10K Plus. While I found the feel a little bit hollow for my taste, it is a real, genuine fairway finder. The Tour Edge Exotics Max. Now this might be a little bit fussy, but I preferred the previous logo. However, if you're looking for a super forgiving driver that really allows you to dial in your ball flight preferences at a slightly more digestible price point, the Exotics Max is well worth a try. The Wilson Dynapower Max Plus. Another lower price point and a newcomer to the market. If you're a slower swing speed player, the high levels of spin from the Dynapower Max Plus will work significantly to your benefit. But my personal favourite in this category is the Ping G440K. Now, the best thing I can say about this is that they just didn't mess it up. As I said, the G430 Max 10K was arguably my favourite driver that I've ever tested at Golf Monthly, and that's mission number one. Don't ruin it, and they certainly haven't done that. It's equally as stable, and the footprint is still really friendly in behind the ball. Now, the main changes they've made are they've increased the back weight by 4 grams, and they've made that back weight adjustable now, so you can actually dial in your spin preferences and your ball flight characteristics a little bit better. As with the entire G440 range, the free hosel design that Ping has introduced makes this an incredible performer for those who hit the ball off the heel a lot. Now that's me, my miss comes out of the neck, so I'm probably a little bit biased here, but if you are someone that misses on the heel side of the golf club, that entire G440 range is well worth investigating. But the main reason I've picked it is its accessibility to the widest range of players possible. So we've got the stability, we've got the forgiveness, but what we don't have that we see in so many of these high MOI drivers is excessive spin. So it's as accessible to me at around a 118 to 120 club head speed as it is to players swinging at 85, 90. You've just got to get that loft and shaft matched up. Now there is a bit of a sticking point and I can't gloss over that. It's very expensive. The recommended retail is £630. It's really tough to justify, but if a club ever can justify that sort of price tag, the G440K might be it. Now, just before we go on to talk about the anti-slice drivers, a few of you might be wondering why I've not mentioned any of the direct-to-consumer models, and I'm a big fan of the whole direct-to-consumer model within golf. Creating some really good equipment at more accessible price points can only be a good thing, right? But truly, in my driver testing, there is a golfing quality still. When I've tested irons, a lot of the irons that are coming from these direct-to-consumer brands are superb, and they are really competing in terms of numbers. If I'm brutally honest, I haven't quite seen the same matchup within drivers, lacking a little bit on ball speed and a little bit on consistency. There are some still really decent options out there, but there's nothing troubling the drivers that I've spoken about here. If I was to make a recommendation of the best direct-to-consumer driver I've probably tested over the past 12 months, the Vice Golf VGD01 Plus, very catchily named, is a really good offering. It's got a nice dull thuddy impact, produces low spin, and the ball speeds are somewhat comparable with some of these bigger names. And lest we forget, the £379 price tag will make that very accessible to a lot more people. But let's get back to those best anti-slice drivers. Right, it will be no surprise to any of you to hear that a lot of people struggle with a slice. And if you don't believe me, just head out to the first tee at your golf club for about an hour and take a look. But thankfully, there's a lot of drivers on the market that can help you with that, using technology such as internal weighting, face angles, lie angles. Let's get into it and take a look at some of the best that I think are out there. The Cobra Optum Max D. If you're looking for as much draw bias as possible in a conventional setup, they don't come any more anti-slice than this. It's extremely upright in lie angle and with extreme internal weighting. This one is far from subtle. The shaping isn't quite to my tastes, but Cobra loyalists will love it. The Callaway Quantum Max D. Those still wanting to maintain maximum ball speeds in their draw bias driver should definitely have the Quantum Max D on their test list. This was comfortably the hottest of the draw bias drivers in my testing. The Ping G440 SFT. Now, I know the turbulators are always a little bit of a love-hate situation on the crown, but if you're not only a slicer, you're also prone to a low or heel strike, then the G440 SFT could be of real interest to you. Bit of a wild card here, but the Oximity driver. For those of you who feel like you've exhausted every option to combat your slice, the Oximity driver is definitely worth a glance. It's far from pretty or conventional, but believe me, it is a real struggle to slice this one. The Wilson Dynapower Max. While the Dynapower Max isn't specifically marketed as an anti-slice driver, this was a superbly effective driver in testing that features a really distinct draw bias and masses of stability. There's a few I prefer in terms of sound on this list, but the overall performance here is very solid. In terms of my favourites, I think the anti-slice driver category this year is a really strong one, so I've actually got a couple, and I'm going to start off with the Cobra Optum Max D. Now, the reason I've picked this is because we want this ball to turn over, right? We do not want to see any slice, and this is the most draw bias of anything that I tested this year. Everything Cobra have done on this driver has been taken to the extremes to make sure they are mitigating that slice. Starting with the lie angle, and I measured out the lie angle of that Max D. It's extremely upright. The one I got was at 64 degrees of lie angle, so that helps that ball start left and gets the loft on the club pointing off to the left for a right-handed player. I really like the feel of the whole Optum range as well. It's hot, but it's also light. Sometimes you get that heavy kind of thuddy impact. There's a kind of a lightness to strike, but you can still really feel the power. Another point I liked about the Max D was the high levels of spin. So not only are you able to kind of fight that slice, if you're someone who needs a bit of extra spin to keep the ball in the air a little bit longer, this is a driver you're really going to like. In truth, it's not my favourite looker of the bunch. A lot of the Cobra dryers have kind of an asymmetric property to them, which doesn't really suit my eye, but a lot of Cobra loyalists absolutely love them. And quite frankly, I can ignore that because the performance speaks for itself. So my second pick in terms of favourites in this market is the Callaway Quantum Max D, and the main reason I've picked this is purely for ball speed. A lot of times when you head into the draw bias market, for whatever reason, I tend to see a little bit of a drop off in ball speed, and I've seen none of that with the Quantum Max D. Now, one of the reasons behind that might be the very impressive new Tri-Force face. Callaway have tried something here that's never been done before, and for me, it's really worked across that entire range. We've got some titanium at the front, we've got a poly mesh behind, and then we've also got some carbon, and whatever's going on with this combination, across the range, it's really, really quick. Now, contrary to what I just said with the Cobra version, this has a very different acoustic and feel. It's very dull, it's very thuddy at impact, so bear that in mind if you're looking to go into that. That's a feel and a sound that I actually really like, but some people don't necessarily. In terms of its ball flight characteristics, there's enough spin on this without being an overspinner, so I feel like this is a draw bias driver that will cross over a few different player types. Looks wise, in behind the ball, any of you that owned an AI smoke driver from a couple of generations ago will notice something very familiar. It's pretty much an identical crown. Now, some people would say that's a little bit lazy. I actually think it's a masterstroke from Callaway. Some of the profiles down behind the ball last year with Elite didn't go down all that well. They've simply returned to something they know that worked, and it looks fantastic. Right, sorry to interrupt, but if you are enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button and comment down below. I think this is a vintage year for driver releases, but I want to hear what you think. What have you tried? What have you liked? And what have you liked the look of from this video? And if you have liked the look of anything from this video, I've popped some handy links in the description below to get you the best prices in your area. So let's finish things off with the all-rounders. You might know these as the core models. These are the drivers that kind of sit between the LS, the low spin models, and the super high MOI or even the draw bias models. So in theory, these should suit the broadest spectrum of golfers. So let's take a look at what's on offer. The Callaway Quantum Max. Weirdly, this is the first of two Callaway drivers in the all-rounder section this year. I've never loved the Callaway chevron in truth on the top, much preferring the cleaner look of the triple diamond models, but as an all-round package of speed, stability and playability, it's a very solid option. The second entry from Callaway here is the Callaway Quantum Triple Diamond Max. Now this one could have easily slotted into the low spin category because it's exactly that, but with its superb playability, I decided it fitted better into the all-rounder section. Historically, it's been a tour-only offering, and I think this is the start of the Callaway range this year. Think a friendlier triple diamond without the fade bias. The TaylorMade QI4D. Now, if we're brutally honest, the QI35 last year didn't really cut through, but TaylorMade has come back punching here with one of the quickest drivers I've tested. In truth, I honestly preferred the light grey colouring of QI35, but I think I'm in the minority there, and the speed and consistency of spin here is absolutely exceptional. The Ping G440 Max. Solid, reliable and user-friendly. The G440 Max is very typically Ping. Like the rest of the G440 range, the ball speed retention low off the face and from the heel is outstanding. The overall package here is really tough to beat. The Titleist GT2. While I find the GT range a little visually basic on the sole, the cleanliness of the crown is superbly sophisticated and the performance ticks every single box for me. The GT2 is quick, has a nice mid-range acoustic and is surprisingly forgiving. The Cobra Optum X. As with a lot of Cobra drivers, I'm not a huge fan of the shaping here. It feels a little asymmetric to me, but players who've used Cobra products for a while will absolutely love this. The overall performance package is a really solid one, and love it or hate it, the Future Fit 33 adapter provides unrivaled adjustability. The Mizuno JPX1. Now this is one of the best looking drivers of launch season in my opinion, and while in truth I was a touch underwhelmed by the speed and the impact feel, the stability was really impressive and resulted in a very tight dispersion. If you're looking to find more fairways, this will be a good place to start. The PXG Lightning Tour Mid. Now this is the driver that Marco Penge is going to be going into, but similar to the JPX1 from Mizuno, there are others that I probably slightly preferred the feel of, but I have a real soft spot for the overall look of this one. While a busy crown isn't normally my thing, PXG has executed it brilliantly here, and the head shape is superb. So my personal favourite in the all-rounder category. Now this was really tight for me, and it was between the TaylorMade QI4D and the Callaway Quantum Triple Diamond Max. Now the data, which I'll pop up on the screen for you now, was actually so similar in terms of the carry numbers, the spin rates. I was very much looking at almost the same driver. When I test them out on the golf course, my miss with the QI4D was a little bit right, and my miss with the Callaway drive was a little bit left. So that's something to bear in mind maybe if you're having the same sort of dilemma. Now, I guess the only thing I could really split these on was price tag, and with the TaylorMade coming in at about £100 cheaper than the Callaway, I'm going to have to opt for the TaylorMade as my favourite in that all-rounder category. However, both of those drivers are very much more on the lower spin end of the spectrum there in the all-rounders. So if you're someone who wants to be in that market, but you need a little bit more spin to keep the ball on line or keep it in the air a little bit longer, the Ping G440 Max would be a real standout for me. The sum of its parts is really what makes that a great driver. It wasn't necessarily the quickest, it didn't excel really in any of the parameters, but it was just a solid high performer in all of them. So if you're just looking for a reliable driver, the Ping G440 Max is where you should be looking. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that overview, and I hope that's helped you narrow down your search somewhat. So in summary for me, if I'm going to break down what I thought overall, for me the fastest driver that I tried this launch season was the Callaway Quantum Triple Diamond. Off the face, the smash factor, it was just a little bit more efficient than anything else. However, my longest carry came with the TaylorMade QI4D. Now, like I said, it was a touch slower off the face and far from slow. It's still a really quick driver, but I was just moving it a lot quicker through the air thanks to the improved aerodynamics, if you like. In terms of the broadest appeal driver, now you might think that would come from the all-rounder section, but we've kind of got some crossover here. The Ping G440K, incredibly forgiving, incredibly stable, and one of the lower spinning of those kind of high MOI drivers. So I think that will put that in a lot of people's bags. So in terms of the one I'm going to be starting the season with, and I say starting the season because I do tinker a bit throughout the year, I've got that option. I'm going to be picking something from the kind of the core model, the all-rounder range, but as a slightly higher swing speed player, I need something that can mitigate the spin a little bit. So a lower spin model from that core range. The one that fits the bill there for me is the TaylorMade QI4D. Really quick, great looks a lot better than it did last year in terms of the overall shaping, and it's just been doing a really good job for me so far. So that's what I'm going to be using. So as I said, I hope you found this informative. Let me know in the comments down below, what have you tried? What are you looking forward to trying? Let's all have a great season.